What's going on YouTube, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to turn this photo and edit it into this photo. Let's get started. Welcome to today's video, guys, and in today's video we're going to be showing you guys how to edit real estate photos using a flash ambient blend method. So this method is not the easiest by any means, but I think it produces and yields a very nice image, very good lighting, nice colors, and the ability to see through windows. If you guys are here from the tutorial on how to shoot these photos, welcome. If you haven't seen that video yet and you want to know just how to take these pictures with your camera, I'll link the video in the description down below for you. Before we jump in and get started here, if we're just meeting for the first time, guys, my name is Jonathan and I help real estate creatives make the most out of their business. So if that sounds something you're interested in, consider subscribing. With that said, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. All right, guys, so here we are on my computer. We are in Adobe Lightroom Classic right here. If you're new to Adobe and you don't really know what Lightroom is at all, this is pretty much just your standard baseline photo editing software. If you guys are interested, I'll leave a link in the description down below for you, but this is not a tutorial on how to use Lightroom, so if you're kind of lost, you might want to take a step back and learn how to use Lightroom first, but it's pretty straightforward, so I think you'll be able to follow along. So looking at our photos here, we took 3 photos for this one composition. We have this first photo which is the ambient photo. As you can see, the windows are pretty blown out and then the shadows are pretty heavy on this side. This is gonna be our flash photo that's gonna balance things out a little bit. And then we have our window pull photo. So the flash was pointed at the window and we can see through it pretty nicely. So let's go ahead and get started here with our ambient photo. I have these presets that I've made already, so I'm gonna go ahead and use these, but this is pretty much what they are. So I bump the exposure just a little bit, drop the highlights and bring up the shadows. As you can see, a little bit of dehaze, drop the whites, the blacks, and the saturation. And then also, I make sure to remove chromatic aberrations and enable profile corrections. This is a must for any of my presets. So this is pretty much just the baseline, but looking at this here, I think the shadows need to come up a little bit more, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that right here. Bring up the shadows to 100, that's fine. I think that looks pretty good. So I'll live with that. Now we'll go ahead and come over to the flash and we'll do the same. This is my preset for flash. So I drop the exposure a little bit, drop the highlights, bring up the shadows, bring up the whites, and drop the blacks. It's pretty much the same as the ambient, just tweak just a little bit, and you can find that you're gonna wanna fine tune these to your liking. As you can see in this photo, compared to this one, the colors look and feel a lot more true. So I'm happy with this flash photo here. And lastly, we'll go ahead and go with our window pull. So I'll go ahead and select the window pull here. And all we're really concerned about is whatever's shown out this window right here. So we drop the highlights, drop the shadows, and then we even play with the blues here because typically there's a blue sky outside. So I increase the saturation and I drop the luminance. It's not the case here, but in most cases the sky would be blue. So we're gonna go ahead and select all 3 of these images. We're gonna right click and we'll go to edit and open as layers in Photoshop. Now it's important to open as layers, not just open in Photoshop. So it's gonna bring us over to Photoshop and then from there it'll stack them automatically. And that's what brings us to here. Perfect, so as we can see, it's got all of our layers here and it went ahead and layered them nicely for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and label this just to keep things easy. I don't typically label when I'm working because I know what layers I'm working with, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm gonna go ahead and do that here. So I'm gonna go ahead and double click and we'll call this ambient. This one is going to be our flash shot. And then lastly, we have our window pull. All right, so the order these should be in is the window pull should come to the top, flash on the bottom, ambient right above the flash. So first things first, with that window pull selected, we'll go ahead and hold Option on our keyboard and we'll hit the layer mask here. So we're gonna just hide that layer. Let's just forget about it for right now. Now there's a ton of ways to work with the ambient layer. I'm just gonna keep it very simple for you guys on this one. We're gonna go ahead and select our ambient layer, come up here to the blending methods, and we'll go down to luminosity. And as you can see, when we have luminosity selected, it's quite ugly. It doesn't look very good at all, but bear with me here because we're gonna wanna bring our opacity down until we find that sweet spot that we think looks good. Some people like to keep it at 50%. Personally, I like to keep it at 40%. So I'm just gonna hit 4 on my keyboard, and that brings us at 40%. So here's after, and this is before ambient, and after and before. So the ambient kind of balances things out a little bit. It reduces the highlights from the flash and makes it look a lot more smooth. All right guys, so now that you saw how we kind of balance things out with the ambient, let's go ahead and go over to our window pool. So first things first, what we're gonna wanna do is select the layer, and then in the blending mode options, we're gonna go ahead and go to darken mode. What this is gonna do, it's gonna bring up and show us everything that is darker than the scene, but not show anything that's brighter. I'm gonna go ahead and hit B on my keyboard to bring up my brush. I can keep my hardness at 0 and then just make sure my opacity and my flow are at 100. And then I wanna make sure I have my white color selected. So I could do that by hitting X on my keyboard to make sure that I'm selecting white. If your colors are not black and white by default, you can go ahead and hit D and that'll bring up your default colors. So with white selected, I'm just gonna go ahead and bring up my brush a little bit. And I'm just gonna go ahead and gently paint over the windows to bring out the view outside. So as you can see, the outside is getting a little bit darker, and this is exactly what we want. Awesome. So that would be pretty much all there is to it, guys. It's pretty straightforward, but if you want to take it a step further, you can go ahead and do this. You're gonna go ahead and grab all 3 of your layers. You hit Command E on your keyboard to blend them together. Now with Photoshop 2021, what we can do is we can go up here to edit and go ahead and hit sky replacement. So this is gonna take a second just to populate. It's gonna look for the sky in the scene, and as you can see, it automatically selected it for us. So we can pick between a number of different skies, and I personally don't like the overcast day look, so I wanna add some clouds in there. I can mess around and play through which ones I like, which ones I don't like. I like this look. And now we can just kind of manipulate it a little bit. Just kind of play with the sliders and see what you guys think, see what you guys like. Cool, so once you guys find that sweet spot, you can just go ahead and hit OK right there. And let's go ahead and have a look at before and after. So this would be before as an overcast sky, and this is after. Before and after. And I think the skies bring out a more inviting scene, especially this apartment picture here. I think it's just more inviting, especially if this is right by the beach. You know, I want to see blue skies. I don't want to see an overcast day. That's not something that I want. So that would be it. So you're gonna go ahead and grab both layers. Control E to merge, Control S to save, and then Control W to close. Now that'll automatically go ahead and overpopulate back over to Lightroom where we can make some more adjustments. So from here, this is pretty much subjective. This is where you can add your own style in. If you like to do something by, you know, dropping the highlights, bringing up the shadows, making it really bright, you can do that here. If you want to make it really dark and ominous, you can also do that here. So however creative you want to get, you can do. I'm going to go ahead and just do what I do typically. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my highlights down. I'll bring up my shadows, and then obviously this is a little bit dark to me. I'm going to bring up the exposure just a little bit. I'm going to bring up my whites, drop my blacks, and add some contrast in here. Next, I'll just bump up the vibrance and the saturation just a little bit. And I'll go ahead and do a color pick here and make sure that my walls that are supposed to be white are true white. So once I've got that out of the way, I can play with this here a little bit more. Awesome, and I think that looks pretty good, guys. So once we like what we have, we can go ahead and hit right click, go ahead and export here. And this is the final image. All right, guys, if you made it this far into the video, appreciate you guys sticking around with me. I know this could be pretty overwhelming, especially if you're a beginner Don't worry guys, this is not something, especially if you're a real estate agent and you want to take your own photos, you don't have to do the editing. Believe me, you don't have to do it. It's not always necessary. You can actually pay somebody else to do it. I like to recommend sites like Fiverr.com or Upwork.com. You can find a ton of real estate photo editors who can do exactly what I just did on a larger scale. All you have to do is upload a bunch of photos to a Dropbox account or a Google Drive folder and send it over to them. They can do the editing and then they'll send you back the final products just like this. So if you guys are interested in learning more about Fiverr or Upwork, I'll go ahead and link those in the description down below for you. Other than that guys, if you guys got any value out of today's video, do me a big favor, hit the like and subscribe buttons down below because I got a lot more videos like this coming. And if you got any questions or if there's something you want to see on another video, do me a big favor, drop a comment down below because I won't make it unless you guys ask for the most part. So go ahead and drop a comment down below. I'm going to try to keep the content coming for you guys. Thanks again for watching guys. You guys have a good one. Peace out.